Okay, it's in the tech group, the link to the YouTube.
Okay, cool. Just put aside, yeah. So maybe I can start sharing my screen, right? Or we want to wait for more people to come in?
I can share it first since I'll be the host.
All right.
Okay, here it is. Here it is. It just went live. All right. Hello, hello. We'll just wait for some people to join. Okay, a few more people in now. We'll just wait a few minutes here.
Cool, no problem.
Oh, good morning. Good morning in Singapore. Oh, I'm great today. How are you doing? I know there's a little delay. Good morning. Oh, good morning from Brazil. All right. Nice to see some people from different areas. Is it morning in Brazil or night? There's another in Singapore. Omar.
It's night.
Okay, night in Brazil. That's what I thought. I have, my family in Chicago. Same thing there. $11 a.m. in Singapore. Okay, good. All right, we'll just wait 1 or 2 more minutes here. While we are waiting, I just want to remind everybody, I don't think this will be a problem, but let's try not to spam in the chat. Let's be respectful and just use it if we have any questions. If you have questions, please type them in the chat, and if there is time at the end of the talk, the speakers will take some questions, okay? Okay, there we go. Some more people coming in now. So, today we are starting the second module of the Global Metaverse Bootcamp. The second module is going to be about game and Dapp development. Okay, we have 2 great speakers today. Our first speaker is going to be Zhang or Shuyi Zhang. He is the CTO of White Matrix. Okay. Today he is going to be telling us about ChainIDE, a wonderful cloud-based development environment that was made by White Matrix, and Dapp development, how you can use it for Dapp development. All right, and Tim, if you want to get started.
Sure. So can everybody hear me clearly? Okay. It seems the connection is good, the camera is good, so I will be starting. Okay. All right. All right. So this is the basically the front page of my slides. So the title is ChainIDE, right? So it's a multi-chain cloud decentralized application. IDE, right? So, and today I'm not going to, I'm not going not only going to cover the specifics of ChainIDE, but I'm also going to walk through the step of like how to use ChainIDE to start your kind of like Dapp development. But for the more detailed tutorial and the lessons, so maybe you can just follow up this bootcamp, and we will have more detailed lectures, which is kind of like hands-on, like step-by-step Dapp development course. And at the end of the course, we will get a kind of like fully functioned decentralized application. It's also a blockchain game. So let me start. The contents of today's presentation will be divided into four parts. So the first one is the overview, so the ChainIDE overview. The second one is basically the features, right? Features of the features and the functionalities of ChainIDE. The third one will be, okay, so what will ChainIDE provide, right? And also what are the ecosystem and our partners will provide and bring to the blockchain developers. The fourth one will be the future plan. So basically the roadmap of ChainIDE, and also I will give some of my thoughts. So how will the future, maybe the near future, decentralized application development like? Okay. So the first one will be the overview. So what is ChainIDE? Okay, so maybe some of you guys maybe have already like used ChainIDE, or some of you guys may not be very familiar with ChainIDE, but I think most people here may have like experiences, at least have some experience of using like the decentralized app. Or maybe some of you have already like developed a decentralized app in using some other tools. Okay, so basically ChainIDE is a cloud-based blockchain IDE for smart contract and the decentralized apps, so which can be deployed on multiple chains. So say we now currently we are supporting Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, Hyperledger Fabric. So this is a consortium chain. And also some non-EVM based chain like Dfinity. And we are also going to support Flow in the near future. So yeah, so these are either kind of like a equivalent or like a non-equivalent like blockchains. So some of them are EVM based, some of them are not. So basically, this is kind of like general idea of what ChainIDE is, and it will provide simple interfaces. So if you look at this slide, right? So you can see you can find it's very kind of familiar, or it looks really like some like a desktop IDEs. Yeah, because we want to. We don't want to kind of like break users' habits, so we want them like get used to this IDE as quick as possible, and it's a multi-chain supported web IDE. So it's web based. So it's basically you log into our website and register account, and then you can use it without any problem. Okay. So other features. So the first one we already like introduced. It's cloud-based, right? So you are writing a decentralized application. Not only so ChainIDE is kind of slightly different from some other IDEs. You can only write smart contract. You can also write like front end, back end, and the scripts, right? So in any languages, and in the browser. And also this ChainIDE covers from development, debugging, and deployment in one place. Basically, it's a one-stop decentralized application development and the deployment user experience provider. And also, it supports multiple chains. So here we list some of the chains we supported, right? So for consortium chains, there are kind of like a Hyperledger Fabric and blockchain, and and some other, like, I think we are now supporting like 6 consortium chains. And for public chains, we are supporting Ethereum and all these kind of like EVM based blockchains, Dfinity, which is kind of like online, which is basically like an online computer for everyone, and Flow, which is a new kind of resources based like blockchain. So we all know that like NFTs are is the biggest use case in this chain, and we are going to support them very recent. Very soon, sorry. So basically, let's do a like small product comparison between. I think these are the 2 most popular kind of IDs we usually use for kind of development. So the first one is Remix. Okay, so for Remix, we all know that it's kind of a it's kind of like the one of the very first blockchain IDE, and it's also like browser based, right? So it's simple and easy to use, blockchain based, browser based, and also you can do one-click deployment and debugging, right? And it has very rich features for especially for Solidity, and some features are deployed there for I think IPFS and Swarm, but all these features are kind of built around Ethereum and Solidity. Okay, and it has some drawback. I won't say it's drawback, but it's actually like by design, it has some limitations. So first of all, it's a EVM only IDE, and in near future, I don't see there's any possibility that they can support multiple chain, because it's under basically consensus ecosystem, right? And then the other thing is it's designed as a lightweight browser-based IDE, so that there's no backend, right? So you cannot use any backend runtime in this IDE. For example, like npm node runtime, right? So okay, so this is basically Remix. It's very good for EVM contract development. That's a general kind of like that's basically the general understanding of this IDE. The other one is VS Code, right? So VS Code basically is a most popular, I think currently it's most popular desktop IDE, and it's biggest user base and a lot of useful plugin, aka extensions, right? But it has some. It's actually a very like hardcore IDE for like blockchain developers. So it requires a lot of like complicated configuration before starting development, and it's basically a general purpose. So you need to fine tune all these like configurations, like extensions, and also you need external environment setup to make it working. Okay. So ChainIDE doesn't want to kind of like cover all these features or all these kind of functionalities. Remix and VS Code provides. We will provide our own features that focus on specific like areas, right? So what we want to bring to is I think I summarize as like these 3 points. So first is easy development. So we want a browser-based IDE, right? It can be opened anytime as long as you have internet connection, and you can just do all these things you need to development a decentralized application, such as like contract development, right? Front-end development, deployment, debugging, testing. And also, we want to provide very easy to use templates, so for users to start from scratch without any background knowledge, right? So this is easy development. The second one is like customization and support multiple chains, because as we know that different blockchains, they have different like designs and program languages and user habits, right? So we want to customize our IDE to serve different purposes. So for example, right, so if we a user who use like a Dfinity to write a kind of like a run forever program is totally different. So his or her requirements are very different from the users who want to develop a Ethereum based or EVM based app, right? So we want to provide customized experiences for different group of users. The third one is the ecosystem. So we want to so we don't want to only provide a IDE for different users. We want to empower the users and the developers or creators to build a complete production-ready application. And we also want to incubate and help them to launch their product. So that's also one of the purposes behind this bootcamp. So we also provide other like services to incubate interesting or like high potential products. Yeah. So basically, ChainIDE basically serves as a kind of entry for developers to launch their product in this blockchain world. All right. Okay, so this is the first part. So what basically I will introduce like what is ChainIDE and why we want to build the ChainIDE for the developers. Okay, so the second part will be its functionalities. All right, so these are three kind of like a slogan or maybe like key features I want to summarize is swift, simple, and smart. So basically, we want swift and simple is basically we want everything to be easy to use, right? And you don't need any kind of like a previous configuration. So no like software installed, no like blockchain setups, right? And the smart basically we want to serve different group of users with different specially designed tools. So these are the I think these summarizes most functional modules of ChainIDE. Has like file system, editor, preview module, like compiler, testnet, a plugin system, deployment and interaction module, and also a newly released feature, ChainIDE Sandbox. So let me like walk through all these features in this section. So the first one is the file system. So basically, this looks very similar to all these others, like traditional IDEs that we have a file system, or maybe file explorer on the left, right? So you can just basically create a rename, update, and delete files, and also it has a backend that manages all your assets and files on the cloud, and you can just import and download the whole project without worrying about its persistence. It's persistence permanently. And next time you log in again, and you can just continue your work in another machine, another place. Yeah. So editor. So editor is basically the text editor for editing the code, right? So it has split tab, syntax highlighting, and also autosave. So these are very basic functionalities ChainIDE provides. And with ChainIDE's like plugin system, basically you can develop more advanced features, and you can add buttons in the editor, add buttons and advanced like spell grammar spell checkings with our plugin function. Yeah. The third one is the preview. So basically, this is very powerful module that help users to basically kind of preview or visualize their work, right? So it's this preview module now supports HTML, JS, JSX, and Markdown. So basically, we want to serve, say, if we want to develop a decentralized app, right? So as an app, it's a web app, so it needs a front end. So we don't want like people to leave our IDE and use their local IDE to do their front end development, and it will make it very hard to debug, right? Because the smart contract is in one place and the front end is in another place. So here, the preview module help users to finish all this development work and integrate the front end code with the smart contract in one place. So later we will also add React and Vue and also like Node backend support into this module. So here we can see that we have a later in this session, I will just show like how to development a like front end ready application with this module. So here is the log console. So basically, it's first the IDEs you are familiar with, for example, like IntelliJ IDEA, right? So it can have like multiple log multiple log pipes and multiple log windows, and also all these interactions between your contract and the smart and your contract and the blockchain will be displayed here. So you can get the error message and the successful message and maybe like external links to the explorers here. So and also in the log console, we will also provide a interactive shell and the sandbox. I will just demonstrate in later sections. So here is the compiler module. So one note is that we have different compiler modules for different blockchains. So they are different. So because like the compiler for Solidity, like aka EVM based blockchains, and some blockchains like Dfinity, they're different, right? So here I just give Solidity as a example. So basically you can choose the compiler versions and it will be auto detected. It will just automatically pick one proper compiler versions for you, and you can just compile it. So the backend is basically a deployed serverless compiler, so you don't need to worry about its kind of like availability. Okay, so and it will also display the useful informations like ABI and bytecode. And this compiler is also customizable, so you can just write a plugin to display more information here. Okay, so after the compiler, here are two different modules. These two modules are very necessary for developers to test their deployed functions and the contracts. So the first one is a deployment module. So basically, you can just deploy your compiled contract to either in-memory testnet or like the actual external like network. You can also like importing. There's a typo. You can also importing external deployed contracts to interact with them directly without like redeploying them again. Interaction is basically a kind of interactive UI that you can just invoke functions with ABI and address, and also view the output and debug. So it helps you to debug your smart contracts. Also, the last one, I think this is the last one. The last one I want to mention is the plugin system. So basically, on the left side of ChainIDE, you will find all these modules that is loaded to your browser IDE. So, for example, this is the ChainIDE environment for Chain 33 blockchain. So this is a console term blockchain. So for that blockchain, we actually officially make a kind of like a compiler and a deployer plugin, and we also made a wallet plugin. So with this plugin system, basically we can support any blockchains. As long as we write its own like plugins to support their wallets and their runtime. So I will also demonstrate like how we supported different blockchain networks with the different implementations of the plugins. And the last thing to mention is that we actually like open source our like plugin templates. I think we are already open sourced it, and it's either already open source or like we have a plan to open source it. So basically, you can just come to like the ChainIDE dev team to write your own like plugins for ChainIDE. Okay, so the second part is basically the functionalities introduction. The third part will be the services and ecosystem. I want to introduce what are the like additional and supporting services and the actual works we provide to empower the developers. So the first one is the template markets. So we actually like provide templates such as like storage, ERC20 showcase, ERC721, and voting system. These are kind of like production ready open box templates that you can just directly build a app using these templates. And I will just show like how to use these templates to write a production ready application. So this is a NFT game tutorial like template. So basically you can build a NFT application with front end entirely using this templates. This template will includes the ERC721 introduction. So it has a README and a tutorial there, right? And it has a full NFT tutorial to introduce like what is an NFT and how to build a like an NFT based application. And it will also have a full front end, back end source code and tutorials to build a NFT game. Yeah. So this is one of our previous work. So this is actually for like Facebook's DM. So like previously known as like Libra, right? So we actually built a interactive tutorial for people to learn about like how to program and on blockchain and how to build a decentralized application. But I think it seems like Facebook actually deprecated their that project. So that's why it's not. This why it's currently not very useful. But actually, we have this kind of code base, and we plan to build a interactive tutorials for different blockchains we are currently supporting. Yeah. So this is basically the forum, and in the forum, it's not only for like discussing the bugs and features of the IDE. You can also like we will also hold like weekly online like discussion and seminars, and also you can just submit your like application ideas there, and we will help some of these ideas, and we will incubate and help these some of these ideas to make them like successful products. So yeah, and we also have like developer activities. So we have offline activities. Oh, forgot to mention. So we are based in China. So as all of you may know, so we have like the offline activities. I think are all around like the big cities in China, and we also have like online classes. So we actually like collaborated with like BSC. earlier this year, and we actually like provided the online classes for I think for thousands like African like developers. So we also like collaborated with universities to provide to hold these like blockchain seminars. So we actually collaborated with like University of Alberta. So basically, that it's also like my my mother university, and we actually we actually held that seminar. So it's a big success. So we also introduced like the specialists and also like specialists and like the engineers from both blockchain industry and the data science industry to give talks. We also have like hackathons. So this is our company side, and this hackathon is basically a decentralized hackathon. So it has like multiple sites. They compete at the same time. Yeah. And also, so these are the basically the ecosystem. So we have like forum and the communities. We also have like partners. So these are all our partners. The partners includes like a Polygon, Dfinity, BSC, Ethereum Foundation, Flow, and not all the partners are listed there. We also collaborated with Conflux. Yeah. And we have our social medias. This is basically a weak link here, so we didn't do it really well because I think we focus too much on development, and but we are now like put more attention to this part, and we want to like develop. We want to like make this part stronger this year. Yeah. Okay. So and besides the activities and the ecosystems, we also have supporting services and solutions around ChainIDE and ChainIDE users. So these are two basically internal incubated products. So the first one is Chainbase. It's kind of like a managed backend for hosting like the blockchain applications. It can host both like front end and back end on our like private cloud, but later on we will just later on we may like make it public so everybody can use it, and it has like front hosting, backend hosting, NFT media and metadata hosting and CDN, and it also provide a all-send identity service. So we already actually like launched several products for our clients using this service. The other services ChainSync is currently like built in progress. So basically, it's a managed data synchronization and enhancement service that will synchronize the blockchain events and on-chain data to off-chain store, and also like it's not only like synchronize the data, it can like enhance the synchronize the data, right? So these two functionalities, it sounds a little bit like a graph, right? But it can also like trigger off-chain like functions and service call via like on-chain events. So basically, you can have a webhook. You can subscribe your function with a webhook, and all these blockchain events will be consumed by your service. Yeah. So these are very two very useful services. We use these two services to build help our like clients to build a lot of NFT and blockchain related applications. All right, so these are some products built with ChainIDE and these two services. So the first one is Riverman. So basically, it's a kind of an online blind box for like 3D characters. So it's basically an online 3D puzzle. So you collect all these like collectible like characters and make them. This basically is a kind of a jigsaw. So basically, you collect these pieces and you will finally combine them into a big picture. Yeah, and so this is basically hierarchical. So the small pictures can combine into larger pictures, and you I think the owner of the final like picture will kind of like get some like rewards there. Mirror World is another like AI based like a mutable NFT. So basically you kind of like mutate your NFT, by kind of like interact or talk to these AI behind these NFT, and these mutated NFT you can also bring them into a game and play, use them as like game characters, right? And Matrix World is our like Vancouver partners. We actually build a 3D metaverse, 3D programmable metaverse with them. We actually like provide all these like backend solution and service like hosting services for Matrix World. So for these basically these three like applications, they are all these three applications, they are very successful on OpenSea, so you can just double check them. And we actually provided the backend solution and also the smart contract solution for these things. So if anybody is interested in kind of collaborating, or you have like an idea you want to incubate and launch them, so you can just contact our tech team, so we can just sit down and have a talk about this. Yeah. All right, so the fourth part is towards the future. Okay, so towards the future, basically what I mean the future is the Web 3.0, right? So we always like talk about like the difference between like Web 2.0 and Web 3.0, right? But what are the differences? I don't want to talk about the definition and the difference, but I want to talk about the trend, right? So the trend is, so from my understanding, the trend will be everything on the cloud, because Web 3.0 is basically like web for everyone, right? So we want to lower the like entry bar. So everything will be on the cloud, and sorry. Yeah, so everything will be on the cloud, and all these like functions, data, and like production materials are accessible easily, right? So then we can maximize the kind of the productivity for different peoples. So we don't need to. So for example, if we have a team that we have a really great idea, right? But nowadays we still need to kind of like we need to build a team that that is responsible for kind of managing all these like infrastructure, like server, like database, all these things. But in Web 3.0, ideally, we don't want to build that team. We only need the team to write the business logic. That's it. The second one will be the infraless, right? So infraless doesn't mean, okay, there's no underlying infrastructure. It's basically that it basically means that we can develop without perceiving the underlying infrastructure. So it's a little bit similar to serverless, but it's kind of like more advanced like a concept that we don't in the future. We don't want to kind of we don't even want to like perceiving the underlying infrastructure. Like nowadays, a lot of like children, they don't really know like what's behind the kind of like a smartphone and the iPad, right? But they can just use these kind of tools to maximize its productivity. The third one is the basically decentralization, multi-central, and more interaction and connections. So it means that now we are actually like built like in Web 2.0, right? So we actually we go to one place, right? So for example, AWS, we go to one place and we build our stack on top of that, right? But it's very hard for us to like leave that service provider, because these products are very like exclusive, right? But in Web 3.0, we want to see basically the integration between any kind of pair or like combo of applications. So all these products, they can connect and interact with each other easily. All right, so So these are some examples of like infrareless, right? So for example, right? So Google Docs. Google Docs is basically it just moved the Office software to the online environment, but the thing is that so it's you don't really need to kind of install these software on your laptop or like computer. So this basically like remove this software layer or maybe software installation layer of your work, right? So this is kind of the generalized idea of like infrareless, and also Ethereum IPFS. We all know that it's basically provided a kind of computation layer or storage layer, right? And you don't really need to worry about its underlying structure. You just need to pay, right? Pay for it, and then you store and run your program there. And Stadia is the like Google's like cloud game service. So basically, you don't need a kind of console, right? So you just buy your game and then run it there. So on the left bottom is basically Snowflake, right? So it's also like a skip the setup. It helps you to like skip a setup of like database data store there. So you don't need to worry about this. And also BI analytics, you don't need to set up all these computation clusters. Just use it, right? And also on the right, So I think this is Lucidchart. I use it very often. I like it very much. So basically, previously we actually need a kind of some like a desktop software like Visio to draw these graphs, but I use the like Lucidchart from the beginning. So then I don't really even like have any experiences of using all these desktop softwares, and I don't even want to use this right by any sense. Yeah. So, all right. So, what's the infrareless in ChainIDE, right? So how we actually understand the infrareless and how we kind of like implemented this idea in ChainIDE is basically the sandbox, ChainIDE sandbox. So here we can see that we have a terminal. So for each ID workspace, you can create it. I think, an infinite number of sandbox that provided the runtime or backend runtime for you. So here you can see this is a hard hat sandbox that you can just compile your smart contract in this kind of interactive shell, and it has a backend basically sandbox or like a runtime there. It's implemented using like container like technology. So basically, every time you want to run a sandbox, we will basically provision a container on the backend. And also, this actually makes ChainIDE a lot more powerful. That you can develop your front end with React, right? And you can just start your React dev server in the backend. And you can also like do your backend development. For example, you can write a blockchain like NFT backend, right, and deploy it to the cloud, right? And then all these things can be done in ChainIDE in the browser, and also like smart contract development. So hard hat and the truffle, these powerful tool, right? So we want to connect and interact with them. So they provide more advanced features for like hardcore developers. So basically, what we are providing is node runtime, Gas, CLI, Truffle CLI, like NFT toolbox, right? And also like this is incoming. So we are also like provided the temporary blockchain node. So you can just start your local blockchain node to interact with that node. All right. So this is also like connection projects. So basically, we want to connect, right? So this is our understanding, like how we connect different services, right? And in fact, right? So in Web 3.0 applications, the connectivities between each other is very good. So the first we want to do is we want to kind of like we want to be compatible with VS Code extension, because we have our own plugin system, and VS Code has their own extension standard, right? So then there are a lot of like extensions, very good extensions in there. So why not we like adopt them? So we will what we will do is we will make our plugin system VS Code extension, aka plugin compatible. So you can just directly use any blockchain plugins in VS Code in ChainIDE, and we will also like migrate some of these VS Code plugins. The second one is the front-end and back-end hosting integration. So as I mentioned in previous slides, that we have a Chainbase, right? So this is basically the integration between Chainbase and the ChainIDE. So you can just easily like deploy your front-end application in either Cloudflare, Netlify, or like S3, and your backend and the storage in Fleek or IPFS, GCP, right? And you can also like specify your blockchain node provider, saying Infra and Alchemy, right? And we'll also like provide like NFT specific tooling and support, like NFT market integration, NFT metadata backend templates, right? NFT contract templates, and these percent storage CDN services. All right, so this is basically the goal of like ChainIDE and the basically the ecosystem we want to build on top of existing services, right? So we want ChainIDE. So basically, we want to offer sandbox to provide the most powerful interactive development experience to the user, and also we want ChainIDE to be a starting point of your CI/CD, your decentralized app CI/CD. So basically, you can easily deploy your application to any kind of destination using the CI/CD. You can integrate it with existing CI/CD like Travis. And your like internal CD softwares, and also we want to integrate with our Chainbase. We want to make Chainbase public, and you can integrate with it, so that you can also do your backend deployment. You can just develop your backend server and deploy it into our like hosting service. And also the last part is we want to integrate multiple chains. So these are the useful tools that around the ChainIDE, and we basically there are blockchain nodes, front-end CDN storage, back-end storage, and also DevOps and analytics. So that's the long-term goals. We want to integrate with all of them, but we're starting with most important features, right? And this is basically the workflow of how we use ChainIDE to do a development. Basically, we choose a template, right? And we develop, test, deploy, and then we do the DevOps after we deploy and host our services in a certain like service provider. And then all these things are good, so we can kind of like incubate, and ChainIDE team will also help you to connect with these big names and the providers. Yeah. All right, so I think maybe I'm running out of time of this slides, but I would also do a small showcase on the ChainIDE website. So this is our official website, right? And you can just go to a specific blockchain with this like quick start links. So let's say we want to go to Ethereum. All right. So this is basically the Ethereum ChainIDE interface. Let me sign with GitHub. Right. Sign. Oh, okay. I'm logging, and you can just connect to JavaScript VM or like inject Web3. So inject Web3, I have MetaMask here. So now I'm connected, right? So this is the most the simplest smart contract, which is a storage, right? But I want to show you some more complicated development experiences. So basically, maybe this one, yeah. Oh, sorry. So maybe not from any existing projects, I would delete them to make it clear. All right, I don't want them all. I'll just create a new project. So you can just choose any blockchains here you want to create a project. So saying I want to create a Ethereum, let's go to Dfinity first. I haven't tried this one before. So this is basically a Dfinity ChainIDE console. So you can see here we have very different interface from the Ethereum or like EVM based. And it also has like toolings to get the principal and the local node to interact with them. And also for this terminal, basically a sandbox, you can just start a sandbox. We provide DFX, Node, Rust, like F3O runtime environment. So here, let's install a DFX. Okay, so I'm actually connecting to the backend. So now we have this DFX runtime installed, right? So you can run all these DFX command and deploy your contract, deploy your script to the DFX network. Okay, so this is DFX. Let me go to the Ethereum. Okay, so I want to do a Ethereum 721 showcase. So basically, you can see this has all these. So this is basically a ERC 721 deployment tutorial. So right, so you can see the full introduction from what is ERC 721 and what are the contract, and you also use this template to actually create a NFT on OpenSea testnet. So so what I would do is I would just first of all compile it, right? Compile this contract, and it will hierarchically search for all these contracts that need to be compiled, right? And then let me connect to my wallet again. All right, so I'm connected to RinkBuy network, and you can see this ABI and the bytecode is displayed here, right? And after this one is deployed, is compiled successful, I would just deploy my NFT contract, right, to the RinkBuy network. So I would just copy my address, right, because this is the address I want to deploy with, and then I click deploy, right? And they will just interact with the actual Web3 provider. So we can also see this, basically this contract creation transaction here from the link here, and also we can see it from the transaction here. And then the status is waiting for receipt. Okay, so once, I think this will be really quick because this is testnet. So once this contract is deployed, then we can just deploy our, not deploy, we can just mint our NFT. Okay, so this is deployed successfully, and here we can see all these like metadata of this transaction. And then what we will do is here we can directly mint the NFT with this function. But what we will do is I will open the other. This is basically the application front end, right? And we can preview the front end here. So here, what I want to do is I want to mint an NFT in OpenSea. So I will give it a name, right? Let me double check this transaction is successful. Yeah, this is successful, and we can see this contract is created. Yeah, cool. And then what we'll do is I will mint an NFT there. So demo, right? Demo. The name for this NFT, for the description for the NFT, and I will just choose a cool picture. This one, Ethereum hand. Okay. And I put an ABI here. Let me try to get the ABI here. Oh. Okay. Sorry, I forgot to save it. Okay, put the ABI here, and my contract address. This is my contract address. Then I'll just click create NFT, right? And this one should create a NFT for my this one should create an NFT for with this picture, yeah. All right, let's wait for some time. Is this set up correctly? All right. That might be some problem. Oh, I need to copy this API again, and I need to go to this page. Okay, so sorry, I made a mistake. Okay, I should be able to see this NFT being minted quickly. Okay, so I think due to this time constraint, so I have to like end here. So there seems some problem with this this template, but in later like lectures, I think Prophet will walk through all these details, like how to create an NFT in this environment. All right. So I think I'm going to like stop here, and thanks everybody for watching today's presentation. And I think I will pick up some questions from the chat and answer the questions. Okay, thanks. All right, let me pick up some questions here. All right, so yeah, so there's I think there is some issue with this template, so I haven't tested it very thoroughly. So I think like Ahmad, so you're asking, is there anything wrong? Yes, there is something wrong here, but in the next lecture, so I think Prophet will try to like go through all the details and show you the case, like how to fix this. Okay. And looks like there are no more like questions there. So I'll just end my presentation here, and hopefully like everybody enjoy my presentation, and let me know and let me and our team know like if you have any suggestions and useful ideas for ChainIDE. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Tim. Thanks. I believe we have one more quick question. One of our users is asking if they have to use ChainIDE for the Bootcamp project because they want to build a project on Flow.
Okay. Yeah. So currently we don't have full production ready flow support. We will I think let's double check with Prophet so that
Great.
so that we will know like what's the schedule for like flows functionalities release. But it's totally up to you to use like different IDE or tools if the support is not in ChainIDE, right? So it's your freedom. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you again, Tim. That was a wonderful
I
presentation.
I think there's another question. I just saw it. So you said Flow will be supported in near future. Any rough estimate for that? So I think a rough estimate will be Q1 next year, but we will release some beta features. I think next month. If we provide a like a closed beta or maybe some like beta opportunities, so I would just let all these all our like community member know, and you can just apply to join the beta and have some experience on this. Yeah.
All right, excellent. Let's get a big thank you in the chat from everybody for Tim and his presentation. Up next, we are going to listen to a presentation by Yilei, also known as Prophet. Prophet is the Director of Ecosystem at White Matrix. Today, he is going to be talking to us about blockchain game design. Okay, so Prophet, whenever you are ready.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I'm starting now.
Okay, thank you. I believe you are muted. We might have to start that over.
Can you hear the voice from the video? Oh, sorry. Example to walk you through the application development process completely. Hope you guys could learn some knowledge from this course. Okay, let's get started now. The first capture is about the overview of the whole project. It includes the overview of the decentralized application development and the overview of the Cell Evolution game. And in the next two captures, we will talk more details about the development process. Here, I summarize the full program part need to make a Dapp. The first one is the front end. Not every Dapp will have a front end. You can directly interact with the smart contract by local program or blockchain explorer. But if you want to provide users with a better experience, a good front-end interface is indispensable. The second one is smart contract. Smart contract is the soul of a Dapp. Every important logic will write out on the smart contract. Generally speaking, the EVM, which is Ethereum virtual machine environment, use the Solidity language as the programming language for smart contract. But there are also some other blockchains like Polkadot will use Substrate, or Flow use Cadence, and Definity will use Modoko or Rust. Due to the limitation of the blockchain performance, we need to carefully consider what kind of logic is reasonable to put on the blockchain. And we should pay attention to the cost of each interaction and about the data storage. The third one is the SDK. SDK is matched with the smart contract, and it will package the part that interact with the smart contract into a simple and universal interface for the front-end and back-end program to call it. At last is the back-end. Only when the blockchain project is large enough and there are more off-chain process logic then we need to deploy the back-end program. So we can put that off-chain processing logic to the back-end program. The back-end program is not have too much difference from the back-end of our traditional internet, and may be used to cover some logic and render and some data storage parts. Now, let me have a brief introduction of the cell evolution system. Cell evolution is a sandbox strategy game, and it's based on the blockchain. In this game, every player is the leader of a clan. They need to balance the adaptability and the survivability and the production of their clan. At the end of each game, you can merge your own race, your own clan to a world, to a specific world. But if the world meets some unbalanced condition, the world will be destroyed. So now, I summarize several goals for players and for the game creators. If you are a player, you will have 3 goals when you play this game. The first thing is you will strive for higher scores. The more cells you have in your clan, you will have more scores. You can see other scores on the blockchain and you can search for it. The second point in this game is all of the operation is like a black box. User can exploring these black boards by themselves and have fun with that. The black box design is an important part with a game because everyone has their own understanding of the game, which creates the difference of the result. We also provide some hidden title for users. When they attach some conditions, we will give them those titles. And on the other hand, as a creator, what can we get from this game? We want to create a balanced world. And this world should meet a specific condition, then it will survive, or the world will be destroyed. So it's also a sociological experiment. Because someone will destroy the world on purpose, and the other one will try to fix it. We will see the whole process of the world surviving. And anyway, I hope everyone who participate in this game can find their own fun and can learn something from the whole process. When we look back at the history, we will find that human society is a spiral process of destruction and rebirth. People will do their choice, and the choice you do will be your future. We want all of the audience and all of the creators and all of the players can learn something from this kind of systems, like your choice will influence the direction of the world and the other's choice. And now, let me go through all the process that if we want to deploy the cell evolution project on ChainIDE. ChainIDE is our middleware platform on the web server that everyone could use ChainIDE to program and to deploy and test your smart contract and decentralized application. So our website is chainide.com. And now we can log in our ChainIDE website and click the Try Now button to go to the dashboard of our ChainIDE project manager. Okay, and then we provided the source code of our cell evolution project on GitHub. This is the cell evolution project repository, and everyone could use this address to come to this repository and to take a look detailedly about the packages and the program and some logic. And you can use this as an example or format to develop more about your own project. Okay, and now ChainIDE support to import a repository from GitHub. So if we want to import this repository, we can click here and to copy this link and go back to ChainIDE, and we can click this button to import the project. We can clone from the GitHub and paste the link here and click this confirm import. Then ChainIDE will help you guys to create a workspace, and it will automatically download the file and some other README documentation from the GitHub. So here we can see here is the content of the cell evolution, and we can open this README file like this. We can use this button to preview this README file. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is to install the Git to our terminal. ChainIDE provides a terminal function which can help users to use some packages like Hothead, like Truffle, like Ganache, or other tools that can help users to develop the blockchain, to help to develop the decentralized application. So here we click the terminal button and we create an image. We could create a Hothead image that it will automatically pre-install the Hothead package, and the user can directly use it. So here we come in, and the first thing we need to do is to install the Git, and then we input the command apk add git. Okay, so now we have already installed Git, and we have already downloaded the source code. These are the source code. And now we can just use the yarn to install the dependency. This operation may take like 5 to 10 minutes. So if you guys are waiting on the, if you guys are waiting for this operation, you can do other things on the other pages, or you can read this source code. Okay, now the install of our dependency package has finished, and then we can go to the next step. We can use yarn to compile some contract, and because yarn uses the function of the Hothead, so we can directly use yarn to compile the contract. You can see here the yarn called hardhead function, hardhead compile. So it will use the hardhead compiler to compile the smart contract. Okay, we can wait for just the seconds about the comparing of our smart contract, and we can see in our system that the contracts is in the folder of cell evolution contracts, and we can see several Solidity files. Those files are the content of our smart contract. Okay, now we have finished the compile process. You can see the different contract size and the time you cost to compile it. After the compile process, we need to deploy our cell evolution project. But before we use hardhead to deploy this project, we need to do some configuration first. Let's go to the package and the cell evolution contract and envs and envs.ethereum and .rinkby, this file. We can see several variables that we need to fill in. The first thing is the mnemonic with the MetaMask wallet. And the second is infra that provided by the rinkby infra API that provided by infra website, that you can go to the infra website to apply for rinkby infra API. Then you can use this API to interact with the rinkby network. Okay, the third variable is the Etherscan's API. You can go to Etherscan and register an account, and it will gives you an API key to interact with the Etherscan website, so we can get some information from that website. So I guess you guys should input your to fill in those three variables, so we can continue to deploy our cell evolution project on rinkby network. Okay, after set the configuration of our environments, we can use yarn deployed contract command line to deploy our smart contract. You can look at the detail and you can find out that it used the configuration of this file. And it will deploy this contract on the rinkby network. Okay, I guess we finished the deployment of our smart contract. Yeah, you can see the gas price and the fee that we caused in this process. Okay, so we finished the deployment of our smart contract. The next step is to package our SDK. Our SDK is connected with our smart contract that we just deployed. Okay, so now we can use yarn build SDK command line to build our SDK, and it will be used for our front end and our back end program. Okay, it's finished. So let's come to the last step. We have deployed the smart contract, we have packaged the SDK, and now we can start our front end of the Cell Evolution project. Let's use the yarn start web app command line, then it will start a front end of the Cell Evolution project on this in this terminal. So when we use this command line to start our front end, it will just host this front end service in this terminal. But this terminal is in a Docker, so we need another service called port forwarding to forward this front end page to outside to the public network, so everyone can come to the website and play this game. Okay, after we see this compiled with warnings, there's no warnings, okay. If we see this window, then we can open this port forwarding window. And you can click this add port, okay, and we can select the image hardhead, and the port will be, and then we can open this operator in the web, and then we can see this evolution window, and you can connect with your MetaMask account. Okay, so now we have deployed our front end of the Cell Evolution project, and let's play one game of this Cell Evolution. Then I will introduce the details about the program. Okay, let's click the start to start this game. Okay. And at the start, we can see there are several settings here, and the survive day will count the day that this round that the cell have survived, and the cell account is very easily to understand. Okay, and there are several things, several data will be stored in this panel. So let's start our first game. The first step to start a game is you should reproduce your cell. Like, okay, I will click this button. Okay, then we finish one step of the reproduction. Okay, and it tells me that my life cycle was -1 and my cell count was +1 and survive day was +1. Okay, so I click the confirm, and I will quickly play one game and just show you guys how to play this game. And I think it's very easy to understand. Just use those 3 buttons carefully, and you can find out how to get a high score. Okay, I think I should. Okay, if I click this evolution, now it says it needs a balance of attribute to involve. Means those 3 attributes is not in a balanced status. So I should reproduce more, and I should use the mutations. Okay, and I could reproduce more. Use the mutations, okay, and maybe now I can use the evolution. Okay, you can see it will cause a lot of life cycles, but it will add a lot of abilities or some like attributes of your cell. Okay, now you can find out my life cycles is only one day. So maybe I should sleep for a while. Wait a minute. Okay. When you use this dormant, then you can add your life cycle, but it will decrease your cell count. And then I will produce more and produce more and produce more. Okay. Oh, it's game over. When life cycle goes to 0, it will be the game over, and this will be data that of your this round game. And my final score is 2,846. So it will give me some titles. Okay, and you can choose now to upload your data of this game to the blockchain, and it will merge to some words. So if I click the confirm button now, it will interact with the blockchain. Okay, so MetaMask will give you a transaction. You just need to confirm it. Because we use the ring by test network, so it won't cost the real money, it just costs the test coin. Okay, now is the process of the merging. Okay, it's finished, and it tells you the ID of the cell is 1. Okay, we can just click the confirm, and we can, I don't know if you remember, our cell ID is 1, right? So we can search details of the cell that I wanted, like the 1 ID is 1's cell to search for its data, and okay. So I can just retrieve the data of the number 1 cell, and it will tells me some details of the game that I just played it. Okay, I guess that's almost all things, but there are something about the world data, but I suggest you guys can search by yourself, like how to destroy the world and how to maintain the world. That will be the interesting part of this cell evolution game. After the view of the deployment of the whole project, we will go deeper now to see how the front-end program creates the UI UX to help users interact with the game system and the blockchain. And in this section, I will use some examples to illustrate the key points of how to create a project interface. And at first, we will mention the React framework is a very useful framework to build a front-end project. And I will use the homepage as an intro to show you guys how to make a simple web page. I divided the front-end project of Cell Evolution into 4 parts, namely components, storage, static information, and tools. Component contains some interactive functions, like background, we can see it, and the buttons, we can click it, and wallet info, fetched from the MetaMask, and also we can see the data of our MetaMask wallet. And there are also some loading and alert components which can be used when users have some troubles or need to wait for the back-end operation. Simply out, the component referred to the functional program module in the front-end project. In addition to the primary key, we also need some other places to store the front-end informations, such like the text style and pictures and music resources, etc. And we also need a place to store the sale information of each round, because the sale information of each round is not directly interact with the blockchain. The storage of each round is on the server. This information will be used to display on the UI and will be used in the final link of our integration with the blockchain, like the merge DNA operation. Okay, that's all about the front-end project of Cell Evolution. Let's take a look at some examples. Let's start from a program in Evolution project. This file located in src app.tsx. This function will return a HTML format program of the Evolution game page display, and it's included a basic framework of a page. First will and then will be a style loading process. And next, we'll load the background and we'll check the connection with MetaMask. Maybe you will notice that the background will be referred to some other program. And in fact, the background is a three-dimensional model written by JavaScript. About the detail of this model, you can check it in the package. Next, it will check the status of the player of the game. Like if he has already in the game, the page variable will equals to 1, and it will jump to the game directly. Or if he never been to this game, it will go to the welcome page. And now we can take a look at the welcome page. Welcome page is a very simple page. Only use 3 lines of words in different styles consist of the whole picture. The start and maybe you notice the start text can be clicked to jump to other pages because we add an onClicked attribute, and which achieve the function of a router. So this is the display of our welcome page. When we want to use MetaMask to connect with the Ethereum network and interact with it, we need to use 2 packages in this project. The first one is MetaMask Detect. As the introduction in MetaMask GitHub, it's a tiny utility for detecting the MetaMask Ethereum provider or any provider inject at window.ethereum. So we will use it to connect the MetaMask plugin in the browser. And not only the Ethereum network, we can also use it to connect to some other network like XDAI or BSC or Polygon. And the second one is Ethers. Ethers is a complete Ethereum wallet implementation and utilities in JavaScript. We often use it to call the smart contract or fetch the data from the blockchain. The module that interacts with the blockchain is most different place between our decentralized application and traditional games. I think if you have already developed some games before, you can pay more attention on this part. And when you come to our welcome page or come to our game, if your MetaMask is not switched to the Ringby network, the page will give you a hint to let you know that you should change your network to ring by on in the MetaMask. And after you connect with your MetaMask wallet, the page will show some information about your wallet on this window. And you will find when we store the data, we often encounter some problems, especially when our data spans in different language, such like from JavaScript to Solidity or from Solidity to JavaScript. So now we have a very commonly circumstance here, like we want to use some data from JavaScript to Solidity. There is a third-party library called TypeChain that can provide the convenient service to help developers simply the developer process and realize the intercommunication of data formats between JavaScript and Solidity. So we can use this function in the steps of merge race, the DNA merge into a word to a blockchain, and we can use this service when we just transfer the data from JavaScript to Solidity. Okay, so after the introduction of several examples and some utilities in the project, let me introduce the three basic operations of the cell evolution game. These three operations make up the gameplay of the entire game system, and at the same time, they also included how to use simple method to create a system of rules. You will find out it's very interesting to use simple rules to create a complicated system. The first operation is reproduction. Reproduction is the basis of each group to survive. Reproduction can increase the number of cells, but it will consumes the life cycle of a cell group. It's like human being. When we are doing some activities, we can receive some knowledge, we can increase our spirit, but it will consume our energy. And when the life cycles come to zero, then the game will be over. Life not only reproduce, but also needs some way to advance to a high level. And I think evolution is one of them. Evolution can only be carried out under certain conditions, and the attributes must be kept in a related balanced state. Evolution can strengthen the adaptability and the survivability of the clan, but it will consume most of your life cycles, so you should use it cautiously. Through evolution, cells have more possibilities to obtain higher scores and hidden titles, but we must pay attention to the relationship between evolution and life cycles. Otherwise, it will be easy to game over. The second way to enhance cell capability is mutation. The success probability of mutation is related to cell adaptability. Similarly, mutation can enhance all the abilities of a cell, and at the same time obtain several numbers of days of life cycles. It can help users to get more points. When you use these three operations appropriately, you can achieve better results in the game and explore more details or more in the game system. As it said in the introduction, there could be three models of mutations. it will happen when some certain conditions filled. Okay, let's see the realization of the reproduction function. We know that we can use the reproduction operation by click the reproduce button. So partially, because in one round of the cell evolution is a centralized game mechanism, so we done this reproduce operation in the server, and when users click the reproduce button, it will make change to overall state of the game data through mathematical and visual method. Like here, we just change the cell number by the calculation of the cell exchange and just add it to the original cell number. And we also added change the day of the game data, and we just recorded all of the changes when we click this reproduce button. The others, like the evolve and the mutation, will be the same way to achieve those functions. And the detail of this operation, the program is at this file, component, main, operators, game, and reproduce. In this path also included some other operations like evolve or mutations. Okay, and then we will, here is the program to see how we load the provider of the Ethereum. Like we will use the Ethers package to interact with the Ethereum blockchain. And the first thing is we need to load the provider. Here is the provider ethers.client.load provider, and we have already set some configuration of this Ethers client, so it can directly load the provider here. And after we load the provider, we can get some info from this Ether client. And we can use the package that we just mentioned before, the MetaMask detector, to load the MetaMask provider. And when we fetched the wallet info from the Ether client, we can just display those information to the front end so users can see those kind of things. And we can also use this Ethers client to interact with the blockchain. Like here, if we want to use the DNA merge function, how should we do that? It can be Ethers client.client and .DNA merge here, and you can input some parameters. These all parameters will be stored on the blockchain, and we can use this program to call the Ethereum, the EVM, I guess. Yeah. So after that, we just need to wait the confirmation from the blockchain, and then we can just assume that our data has been stored to the Ethereum. After we store our data, we could also fetch our data from the blockchain. Like I just to show you guys, if I stored the IDs is one data to the blockchain, and I can use the read sale information to fetch those data. And we can also fetch some word data from the blockchain. And if we want to achieve that function, the first thing is to load the Ether client, it's the same things, and then we can use this program to fetch the word data. And here is the word variable. Word variable included a lot of parameters, and we can use the word ID to get the specific number of the word information. Okay, so we can use this sentence to call some functions of smart contract, and the smart contract will give back some data of this specific word. And okay, then we can read those kind of parameters from this program and display it. Okay, so after we introduce the front end of cell evolution, we can start some introduction of the smart contract of the cell evolution. So when we use smart contract in the cell evolution, it achieves mainly about the DNA fusion function and the word generation logic and judgment, like when the word will be destroyed and how to create a new word and store the word data. Here is a smart contract framework of the cell evolution project. The first thing is we will have several functions in the cell evolution smart contract. There will be 4 types. The first type will be read-only function, like some word data fetch function, some cell data fetch function, or some functions that can read the information from blockchain. And the second function will be user interact function, second classification, like DNA merge. If users want to merge their game information to the word or to the blockchain, they will use the DNA merge function to interact with the cell evolution smart contract. The third function will be admin management function. Most of the blockchain, the game on the blockchain will have this kind of function in case of some hacker or some circumstance that lose control, so the admin have some privilege to stop this game or to restart it. Okay, and the last function will be the tool function. Most of the tool function will be achieve some calculation of mass or some string concat. And there will be some data storage in the cell evolution smart contract. Like we will store some variables or store some information of word and store some data of the cell, some specific cell, like you can search the cell information from specific cell ID, something, etc. Yeah. And the next thing is the interface. Now, most of the smart contracts have an interface. The other contracts can interact with this smart contract with the interface, or we can just call this smart contract from our local environment by the interface. So interface is just some very easy way to call this smart contract. Okay, and also we will use some packages, tools like Hardhat or Truffle to deploy, to test, to comply our smart contract. And also we will use we will do some config to better deploy the smart contract by those tools. And at last, we will draft some tests to test the safety of this smart contract and to make sure it can be trusted. And the first thing is about preparation before the deployment. As I just showed you guys that before we want to deploy our smart contract, we need to do some configuration to the hardhat. And we just set a file in this path for you guys that you can directly go to this path to fill in those 3 parameters. Then you can just easily deploy this the smart contract by yourself by using the hardhat. And this is the explanation of each variables. And you should go to infra to registered, and you should go to either scan to registered and get your API key, then fill in this sentence. Okay, and also we will notice that if there are several accounts in your MetaMask wallet, you should select the appropriate wallet that have the either the Ring by Network test coin to deploy this smart contract. And deployer will be the first wallet, the first address in your MetaMask wallet. Okay, so let's take a look at the DNA merge function. DNA merge function, this is the solidity language of the DNA merge function. And we can notice that this is the input parameter of the DNA merge function. It has a lot of input function like IDs, like the serial numbers, like the adaptivity and survivability, some of those details. So when you want to call this function, you should input those parameters at first. And this is the visibility of this DNA merge function. It's public, means everyone can call this DNA merge function. And it has a predefined, so we need to override here. At last, this function will return a bool variable that tells you this DNA merge process is success or not. Okay, so here that it has some requirements, like it will judge if this condition is filled and does the DNA merge process can be executed or not. After that is some information storage process, like we will store those kind of informations to a specific database on the blockchain, and we will convert it to the string and just concat it to one string and then store in our database on the blockchain. So it will decrease the cost of gas. In fact, if you want to create a game on the blockchain, you should take care of the cost of gas, because every user will be influenced by the cost of gas. If every step will cost a lot of gas, it will make people just don't like to use this game to just recommend to others, or just decrease the influence of your game. And the second thing is I just introduced some read-only function like the word data function and the cell data function, right? So how do we just return those kind of data? There are two functions here. The first function is get cell history function, and you just need to input the cell history ID. Like we just need to tell them which word that you want to get, which word information that you want to get, and you just input the ID, and it will return those details of this word. Like we can just fetch this by the mapping of the cell histories variables. Mapping is a hash table data format. It's a data format of key to value. Like I can directly input the ID of this word, then I can get the value of this word, the history value of this word, so I can get the information. Okay, and the same thing will happen to the cell database. Like when you input the ID of the cell, then this function will return the data of the cell data from the cell database. First, let's understand the role of the Yarn tool, and let's take a look at how to package the SDK through command and provide it into the front-end program. Yarn is a package manager that doubles down as a project manager. Whether you work on one-shot project or large project, Yarn can cover the management of the project. In this case, we use Yarn to compile, test, and deploy the smart contract. And we use the command line to execute the package process of SDK. We can use the command of yarn workspace at white matrix cell evolution SDK build to build the SDK of the smart contract. And let's see what will happen at the next step. Once we command the build sentence, we will enter the package cell evolution contract SDK path and open the package.json file. We can see there are some script commands supported by this file. When we call the build script now, it will call the pre-build script. We could find out that finally, the command line will call the hardhat function to package the SDK. This is one of the way to use Yarn. You can explore more other application methods by yourself. After we complete a smart contract, we have no way to fully guarantee its security. Since smart contracts store very important data and logic, the security of smart contract is particularly important. We can use some JavaScript code to call the contract and verify the result. First, we use the expect function to build a test, in which the function is called. We use an await and some function. Then we use equal, the keyword equal, to determine whether the return value of the function match our expectations. Like if we expect the result should be 1, then we could use equal 1, this sentence, to check if the result is equal to equal to 1 or not. And when we're doing the test of the smart contract, we could use try assertion library to help us. We provide some test examples in the cell evolution test.js file. You guys can check by yourself. And then, before deploying the smart contract, we need to perform some configurations in hardhat. For example, we need to select the network where we want to deploy the smart contract. And maybe we need to set the gas fee that the smart contract need to be spent. First, we need to put the wallet information in the configuration file. You can see there are several things that related to the private key or some account information. And in this page, in this picture, we can see that there are some information will be configured in the hardhat configuration file. And you can set some parameters that be used during the deployment, such as the gas limit and waiting the timeout. So if we use the ring by to deploy our smart contract, we could use yarn run hardhat cell evolution deploy and we can set the wait number, which means the block that will be wait after confirmation. And we can choose the network by the network keyword. And then we just input the link by. So at last, the hardhead will choose the link by to deploy our smart contract. Okay, we have helped you to deploy a version of Cell Evolution game on the server. You can try it out and explore it by yourself. At the same time, we also open source this project. The second link is the GitHub repository address of Cell Evolution. You can view it and download it. Some developers are welcome to use these templates for secondary development. Okay, today's course is over here. Hope you guys have learned something from today's development course. Please remember to register our participation in the project team and actively participate in some further activities later. Thank you for listening today. Okay, and here I want to discuss more about our Meta Bootcamp project demo followings. From this week, we are going to start the team selection process, and you guys can check the announcement in the Discord channel. And please to join us with this project team selections. And I hope you guys can find your teammates. You can just register at first, and if you have already found the teammates, then you can register together. And if you are not find the teammate, you can fill in your directions, like you are a designer, or you are a programmer or developer, or you are a manager, or you are good at writing documents. You can just write down your skills, and we will help you guys to make up a team. And here are the details about the submission of this hackathon, something like hackathon or like the homework. And yeah, I just want you guys to join with us and learn more and practice more. And if we have some good project here, we will help you to link some capitals and maybe raise some funds, or we have cooperate with the Metathon, and we can provide some good project to the Metathon, and they have a very high level of the reward, and maybe you guys will be interested about that. Okay, so let's see if you guys have any questions of this, our Meta Bootcamp, or about how to find your teammates, how to join in this project submission. You guys can just ask in the YouTube channel. And okay, if there is not so much problem, maybe we will end our live for today now. And thank you for listening with us. Okay, hello, Kyle.
Okay, thank you so much, Prophet. It was a wonderful presentation. Everybody give a big thank you in the chat. If you haven't thumbs up and liked the video, please do that as well. Don't forget, we have another session tomorrow at the same time, 6 p.m. PST. Okay, tomorrow's session is going to be about the token economy. Okay, we have some excellent speakers. First up will be Charlie Hu. Charlie Hu is the director of Polygon Ecosystem China, and he will be talking about how blockchains and smart contracts can can revolutionize the economy. Then we will have a session from Zihua Wang. Sorry about the pronunciation there. So he is a professor at the University of British Columbia, talking about opportunities in DeFi and the NFT in Metaverse. And we have a third session after that with Julian Tan, the Binance Smart Chain Ecosystem coordinator. And Julian will be talking about GamingFi, so building a sustainable gaming economy. We hope to see you all there, and thank you for joining us today.
Okay, wait a minute. I just see some questions, and I see someone said that they can't barely following this content, and I suggest you guys at first you can check our GitHub repository, and there are many tutorials about the how to learn Solidity. We have posted some bootcamp with Binance earlier in 2021, and you can find those videos in our YouTube channel. I suggest you guys to learn some courses of the Solidity in with those videos. And about the front end and the back end, I suggest you guys to maybe you can use some courses on Coursera or on some online learning website. I guess that may help a lot. And the other guys asked, do Hexon team members need to be part of the Metaverse Bootcamp? There have no force to be the Metaverse Bootcamp members. And maybe you can invite them to our Metaverse Bootcamp and register. We are welcome everyone to join our Meta Bootcamp. Okay. Yeah, it's okay to participate alone with just by yourself. I think if you are a very good programmer or very good developers, full stack programmer, you can cover all the jobs, then you can just participate by yourself. Okay. So I guess there is no more questions. So maybe Kyle, let's end it of today's session.
All right. Yeah, let's end here. See you guys tomorrow. Thank you again.
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.